Imagine walking into a bank with $1,000 in your savings account and walking out feeling like you just made a responsible, grown-up decision. Now fast forward 5 years, and your money has quietly shrunk. Not physically, of course. It's still sitting there in digital form, looking all neat and polite, but its power, its value, that's been quietly siphoned off, one drip at a time, like a slow leak you didn't even know existed. Meanwhile, the same bank just built a marble-floored branch downtown and offered your broke cousin a credit card he shouldn't have qualified for. Suspicious yet? Let's talk about it. Most people think banks are these benevolent institutions that keep your money safe. That's the pitch. That's the slogan. But what if I told you that banks are not in the business of safekeeping? They're in the business of renting your money out, flipping it, multiplying it, and then tossing you a thank you cookie in the form of 0.01% interest. Yeah, that's not a typo. You give them your money, they rent it out for 6 to 29%, and they toss you back a crumb like it's a generous favor. Let me introduce you to Jaime. Jaime is your average 30-something with a steady paycheck, a Netflix subscription, and a dream of one day owning a house with a backyard, maybe even a dog named Waffles. Jaime does what we're all told is smart, saves money in a high street bank, doesn't spend too much, and avoids credit card debt. Respect. But 5 years later, Jaime's savings are up, maybe $150. Meanwhile, inflation has quietly turned every dollar into about 82 cents. So technically Jaime's saving, but getting poorer. That's not financial literacy. That's financial hypnosis. And here's the kicker. Jaime's money hasn't just been sitting there. The bank didn't freeze it in a vault like in the movies. No, they took Jaime's savings, packaged them up into car loans, mortgages, and personal lines of credit at 8%, 12%, even 25% interest. They're flipping Jaime's cash like a real estate mogul, and Jaime's just watching their bank app like, nice, I earned 19 cents this month. You know that free checking account you have? It's not free. The cost is just hidden. It's the cost of not growing. It's the cost of watching your purchasing power drain slowly while the bank uses your money to build their wealth. And they're not even subtle about it. Those flashy ads about 0% balance transfers and 3x reward points, that's not kindness. That's bait. Meanwhile, if Jaime ever needs a loan, guess who steps in like a mob boss in a suit? The bank, with a smile and a calculator. Of course, we'd love to help you, Jaime. Just sign here for your $10,000 personal loan. The interest? Oh, just 19.99%. Totally standard. So Jaime's own money is being lent out to other people at high interest. But when Jaime wants to borrow, it's a shakedown in legalese. Let's rewind a bit. Have you ever heard of fractional reserve banking? If not, buckle up. This is where things go full matrix. When you deposit $1,000 into your account, the bank is legally allowed to lend out up to $9,000. Wait, what? Yup. Through the magic of fractional reserves and government policy, your money is like a seed that grows an entire money tree. For them, not for you. So when you walk into a bank and see marble floors, espresso machines, and mood lighting, remember, that's funded by the interest on your neighbor's car loan and your grandpa's savings account, and the 6 overdraft fees you got hit with because your Spotify payment came out 2 hours before payday. Now don't get me wrong, banks aren't evil, they're just businesses. But it's about time we stop pretending they're a financial babysitter with our best interests at heart. You're not a customer, you're an asset, a line item on their quarterly profit report. The faster you realize that, the sooner you can stop playing defense and start playing offense. So what's the alternative? Do we keep our money in mason jars under the mattress? Not exactly. But think about this. If the bank can take your money and make 10x on it, why can't you? What if Jaime, instead of parking all $10,000 in a savings account, took a chunk of it and bought shares of a dividend-paying stock, or put it into a high-yield ETF, or used it to start a small side hustle that could double in value within a year? Oh, and before we go further, quick side note. If you're into this kind of money truth-telling, go ahead and tap that like button and hit subscribe. Not because I'm asking, but because I want you to win. And staying plugged into this info might just be the difference between building wealth or watching others do it from the sidelines. Anyway, back to our friend Jaime. Let's say Jamie gets bold. Instead of stashing cash in a low-interest savings account, Jamie puts $5,000 into a dividend ETF, yielding 5%. That's $250 a year in passive income, more than a decade's worth of bank interest in 1 year. Add in compound growth, and Jamie's not just protecting money, Jamie's multiplying it, which is exactly what the bank has been doing all along, just without asking permission. Now let's talk credit cards for a minute. You ever wonder why banks push credit cards so hard they start offering you points for breathing? It's because they know most people won't pay the balance in full. That 19.99% interest rate, that's their real gold mine. You get a free toaster or a vacation mile, and they get a lifelong customer handing over hundreds, sometimes thousands, in interest each year. It's genius. Diabolical, but genius. Banks are like that one friend who always wants to split the bill evenly, even though they ordered the steak, the wine, and dessert while you had soup. It's just easier this way, they say, and you nod, too polite to push back. That's what banking has become. Convenient, painless, silent, and wildly profitable for them. Here's another trick banks love: overdraft fees. You're $5 short and boom, they hit you with a $45 fee. That's a 900% interest penalty on a small mistake. Can you imagine walking into a store, grabbing a $5 soda, and they could go, "Sorry, you're short. That'll be $50 now." You'd riot. But when banks do it, we shrug and say, I need to be more careful. And don't even get me started on savings accounts marketed as high yield, with interest rates of 1.25%. That's not high yield. That's a participation trophy. It's like your money's running a marathon on a treadmill tied to a chair. The truth is, the entire financial system is built on inertia. As long as you do nothing, they win. As long as you play it safe and let your money sit, they'll quietly siphon value while convincing you it's all fine. They've branded safety as success. But in today's world, safety can be the slowest form of losing. It's like parking your car in a garage during a tornado. Sounds smart until you realize the garage is made of cardboard and everyone else already left town. Let me tell you about my friend Daniel. Daniel used to think investing was only for people in suits who said things like bull market unironically. But one day he stumbled onto the idea of dividend stocks. He picked a few stable companies, learned the basics, and started small. Today, Daniel's portfolio brings in enough passive income to pay for his rent, and he still uses the same beat-up phone from 2016. No trust fund, no fancy job, just information and action. Meanwhile, his brother Michael still has his money parked in a bank account because it feels safer. Every year, Michael's dollars buy a little less gas, a little less food, and a lot more disappointment. And that's the quiet trap most people don't see. The idea that playing defense is enough. That if you just save, avoid debt, and be responsible, you'll be fine. But fine isn't the goal. Freedom is. Wealth is. Options are. And banks, they're not in the business of giving you freedom. They're in the business of making you dependent. You ever notice how banks love to say, "We're here for you"? Try missing 3 payments on your mortgage and see how here for you they really are. Suddenly, the friendly tone turns into legal notices and foreclosure warnings. The warmth evaporates. The marble floors don't mean much when you're locked out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everyone needs to dump their bank account and go live in a van trading silver coins. But if you treat your bank account like a permanent parking spot instead of a temporary station, you're handing over your financial future with a bow on top. Think of your money like a little army. Every dollar is a soldier. When you put them in a traditional savings account, you're telling them to chill out in a bunkhouse eating Cheetos. But when you invest, build, create, you send them out to work for you, to build little money forts and capture more territory. That's what banks do. That's what wealthy people do. And that's what you can do too, if you stop waiting for permission. Now picture this. You're at a party and someone walks in with a tray of free donuts. Everyone's excited. They grab 1, maybe 2, thinking it's their lucky day. But there's a tiny catch. Each donut has a string attached to it. And when people bite in, the string tightens, slowly pulling their wallets out of their pockets. That's kind of what traditional banking feels like once you start paying attention. It looks sweet and safe on the surface, but underneath, it's rigged to pull money from you unless you understand the game and start playing differently. The biggest trick banks ever pulled wasn't charging you fees or offering 0.01% interest. It was convincing you that was normal, that earning next to nothing on your money was better than risking it, that keeping your cash safe was more important than making it work. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Not taking risks is still a risk, just a quieter one. And yeah, I get it, investing sounds scary. Stocks go up and down, businesses fail, crypto's like a financial roller coaster with no seatbelt. But you know what's scarier? Waking up at 60, realizing your safe savings can barely cover your groceries because inflation bulldozed your purchasing power while you were busy being responsible. Take Carla, for example. She worked a government job for 25 years, saved every bonus, never touched credit cards, and kept everything in a savings account just to be safe. She recently retired with $90,000 in cash savings, which sounds great until you realize she's earning about $11 a month in interest. That's not even enough for a dinner date in most cities. Meanwhile, her rent, groceries, and utilities all doubled in the last decade. So even though she saved diligently, her money never kept up. It stayed parked, and eventually it got left behind. Now flip that and look at Marcus. Same age, similar salary, same work ethic. The only difference? Marcus started investing a little every month in index funds back in his 30s. He didn't know much at first. He just automated a small monthly contribution and kept it moving. Over time, that little snowball turned into a mountain. When he hit retirement age, Marcus had over 400 calories. Not because he was a financial genius, but because he let time and compound growth do the heavy lifting. The difference between Carla and Marcus isn't hustle or discipline. It's strategy. One played defense, the other played offense. And here's the kicker. Marcus still had a bank account. He just didn't let it babysit all his money forever. And that's the part nobody tells you. You don't have to be Warren Buffett. You don't need a finance degree. You don't even need to be good with numbers. You just need to understand that your money is a tool. And tools are meant to build something, not just sit in a drawer, collecting dust while someone else builds their empire using your toolbox. Now let's talk inflation, the silent thief. If you've ever felt like your paycheck used to stretch further, you're not crazy. That's inflation slowly eroding the value of your money like waves against a sandcastle. And when you keep all your cash in a savings account that earns almost nothing, it's like putting ice cream in the sun and hoping it stays cold. Spoiler, your money melts quietly year after year while the banks, well, they're just chilling in the shade with fans and sunglasses, sipping mojitos made from your melted funds. Think about how wild that is. You're doing everything right, but losing by default because the rules of the game have changed, and nobody handed you the updated playbook. Let's be real. Most of us weren't taught this stuff in school. We learned mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, but didn't learn how to read a credit report or what the S&P 500 actually is. You probably know how to write an essay about Shakespeare, but nobody explained how banks create money out of thin air and charge us for it. That's not an accident. A financially confused population is easier to profit from. Now, I'm not anti-bank. I use banks too. We all need checking accounts, debit cards, somewhere to deposit direct deposits, but I treat my bank account like a waiting room, not a destination. My money stops there briefly, gets its coat, and moves on. Some of it pays bills, some of it goes to investments. Some goes to savings, but only the emergency kind. You know, that "oh no, my car exploded" fund. The rest, it goes to work. Because if my money isn't growing, it's shrinking. You ever notice how rich people don't save money? They move it, they shift it, they rotate it like chess pieces. They use debt strategically, they buy appreciating assets. They don't sit around waiting for interest. They collect it. The moment you realize banks are not a financial plan, but a tool in a larger strategy, your whole mindset changes. Suddenly, you stop feeling safe just because you see a number in your account. You start asking better questions, like, what is my money actually doing right now? Or better yet, who is it working for? And don't worry, I get that this can all sound overwhelming. Maybe you've got debt. Maybe you've never invested before. Maybe you're scared to make a mistake. But you know what's worse than making a mistake? making no move and letting banks keep making money off your hesitation. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just start small. Pick one financial habit you've been meaning to change. Maybe it's automating $50 a month into an index fund. Maybe it's finally learning how Roth IRAs work. Maybe it's switching to a bank that doesn't charge you ridiculous monthly fees for the privilege of holding your cash hostage. Little shifts become big results over time. And please, stop letting loyalty to a bank be your downfall. Banks don't care how long you've been with them. You could have been a customer since 1997, and they'll still hit you with a $35 overdraft fee for a $4 coffee. They're not your friend. They're not your auntie. They're a business. And your loyalty isn't getting you upgraded to financial freedom. It's just getting you quietly milked every month while they smile and hand you branded pens. One more thing. The next time you see one of those polished bank commercials with the piano music and smiling families, just remember, that ad was paid for with the interest you gave them. Every overdraft, every fee, every missed opportunity to grow your money, that's their marketing budget. And let me tell you, if banks were really that concerned about your future, they'd be teaching financial literacy in every branch. But they're not, because teaching you the truth cuts into profits. An informed customer is a less profitable one. So the choice is yours. You can keep letting banks hold the steering wheel of your financial life, or you can grab it back and actually drive. No more backseat. No more waiting for someday. No more trusting the same institutions that profit off your stagnation to suddenly start helping you grow. Because at the end of the day, your money shouldn't be a prisoner dressed up in a fancy interface. It should be a force, moving, building, expanding. Your empire, not theirs. And if this opened your eyes even a little, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more real talk like this.